All right, so these are live visuals coming to you on your screens, and those we do understand are the remains of the 14 South African soldiers who were killed in January 2025 on a peacekeeping mission in the DRC. Of course, that is all happening at this particular moment at the Swartkop Air Force Base. President Cyril Ramaphosa will be officiating that particular ceremony and memorial service for the 14 fallen soldiers. Just moments ago, of course, families identified the remains of their loved ones, and the handover ceremony is then expected to take place at around 6 p.m. We understand, of course, these are live visuals of the hearses arriving there, and we understand that the number 4 harbour store will then be the place where the ceremony will be taking place. Our reporters, Chriselda Lewis, as well as Kylie Kumalo, are there for us. International news editor Sophie Mugwena, also amongst our reporters who are monitoring these developments for us. We heard there, of course, somber scenes coming out of that process that families had to relive a few moments ago, some of them showing relief that they have been reunited, so to speak, with their loved ones, and they can now start that harrowing process of mourning. All right, Chriselda, of course, these scenes are somewhat somber. I'm sure families will be devastated by just some of the cars coming in, the hearses, of course, carrying those fallen soldiers that were in a peacekeeping mission in the DRC, finally, of course, making their way home. Just talk us through just some of the scenes, Chriselda, that we are seeing this afternoon.
Onati, indeed, these are the remains of the 14 soldiers that were killed in the volatile east of the Democratic Republic of Congo that have now moved from the mortuary and have arrived now at Hangar 4. And this is where their remains will officially be handed over to their families. This is certainly a moment that South Africans, and most importantly, the families of these fallen heroes, have been waiting for. We know that the repatriation process had been marred by several delays, and also hearing from the Chaplain General of the South African National Defence Force just moments ago how difficult it was to negotiate the movement of these soldiers, their remains, from the area where they had been killed, and to negotiate the movement of their bodies until arrival on South African soil. These are the hearses that are carrying the remains of those fallen soldiers. And one can certainly imagine what pain and somewhat what relief this might be for these families who will today participate in official process. Here, the bodies of Staff Sergeant William Eddie Tola, the body of Staff Sergeant Mulahlehi Ishmael Mulahlehi,
1, 2,
Staff
3,
Sergeant
4,
Shwahlane
5, 6,
Theophilus
7, 8,
Siepe,
9, 10.
the remains of Corporal Matume Justice Malesa, Corporal Renee Nemabulane, Lance Bombardier Itumeleng MacDonald Mureo, the remains of Lance Corporal Tseke Moffat Mulapo, the remains of Lance Corporal Metsi Stansley Raswiswi, Rifleman Sibatane Richard Chokwe, Rifleman Derek Maluleke, the remains of Rifleman Tsidiso Andris Mabele, Rifleman Calvin Louis Muachi, Rifleman Muketi Joseph Mobe, and Private Peter Jacobus Stradom. Their remains have now arrived for the official handover to their families. The Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, President Cyril Ramaphosa, will lead today's ceremony for these families. It's undoubtedly going to be a very somber moment for these families today. And at this particular moment, I want to bring in, before we go to my colleague Kaelishe Kumalo, Admiral Prince Shabalala. Admiral, this is a pivotal moment in this process where the remains have now arrived for the handover ceremony.
Indeed, Chriselda, as you can see, it's a very solemn moment where our heroes, the national heroes of the South Africa, they are arriving today, having traveled miles and miles of their journey. To any soldier today, this is a moment which brings much respect, but more of, I would say, emotional state as they see their comrades in arms arriving in this. What we can see today will be a very dignified moment where our soldiers will be honored by the South African National Defence Force in a very respectful, basically symbolizing their ultimate sacrifice, their loyalty, symbolism, the moment where they are finally going to rejoin their families and to say they have done what the country required of them as patriots. We must remember these are members that were given a mandate to enforce peace as peacekeepers of SADC. Therefore, they have carried out what they ought to do as soldiers of South Africa. Hence, the military is ensuring today that they receive the highest honor that the military can afford. We are going to see the bearers having the honor of draping the national flag. We are going to see the bearers marching in a slow march. As you can see, there's a red carpet lined out here. That means that these heroes of our nation, it's a symbolism that is clear that they finally are respected. They are bringing also closure to the families to say, here's your loved ones. We are finally going to be handed over these mortal remains of the heroes.
Admiral Prince Shabalala, thank you very much indeed. Very well put. I always say very important to bring you on board so that we don't distort exactly what the military does. Thank you very much indeed. We do appreciate it. All right, in just about a moment, we will be crossing to my colleague Kaelihle Kumalo, and this is certainly a culmination of the moments that the families have been waiting for. We know that just an hour ago, the families of these fallen soldiers right here behind me had identified their remains in what we understand to be a very somber moment. Today, they will officially be handed over the remains of their loved ones. In breaking news at this hour, the remains of the 14 South African National Defence Force soldiers who were killed in the volatile east of the Democratic Republic of Congo have now arrived at the Swartkops Air Force Base, and this is where the official handing over ceremony will take place to their families.